As part of the present administration's efforts to curtail the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 ravaging the country and the world at large, Edo State Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Edo Broadcasting Service (EBS) and Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools (Asuss), is organizing a television program for students in senior secondary schools, particularly those writing the West African Senior School Certificate Examination (WASE), the National Examination Council (NECO), and National Business and Technical Examination Board (NAPTEB) for the year 2020 in the months of May, June, and July. The program will be held on EBS television channel every day from 12 noon to 1 p.m. beginning from Monday, April 6, 2020. The subjects selected for these programs are Mondays Mathematics, Tuesdays English Language, Wednesdays Physics, Thursdays Biology, Fridays Geography, Saturdays Civic Education and Economics, and Sunday Chemistry. Parents and guardians are therefore advised to draw the attention of their children or wards to this opportunity during the stay-at-home period.
Hello viewers, I am Comrade Omo Ijubo. I'm a service personnel in this special education program powered by Edostate Ministry of Education, the Edostate Broadcasting Service, and of course secondary school teachers under the aegis of Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools. This program, as you know, is targeted at our students in general and particularly the senior school certificate candidates. As often as I will appear on this program, I will be discussing English language. Like I just said, our target audience is candidates who are due to write the senior school certificate exam anytime from now. That being the case, let me do a reminder here, as it is expected, as you already know, that English language is subdivided into 4 major groups. These 4 major groups actually are rolled into one at the end of the day. They are just compartments or divisions of convenience, and they include comprehension, composition or continuous writing, whichever you choose to use, grammar or lexis and structure, and finally, oral or spoken English. These 4 divisions make up the totality of English language upon which senior school certificate exam candidates are oftentimes tested. For the purpose of our outing today, I shall be discussing comprehension. Comprehension. The word comprehension is a noun element, and it is derived or taken from another word, which is a verb, the word comprehend. Comprehend. To comprehend simply means to understand. It simply means to be in proper grip. It means to totally grasp a piece of information or a body of knowledge. It means to adequately decode a body of knowledge at your disposal or a process. Comprehension can be in two forms. We have oral comprehension and we have documented comprehension. Talking about oral comprehension, we are referring to a situation where I probably tell you a piece of story, at the end of which, because I want feedback from you, or to find out if you actually comprehended what you have heard from me, I can ask you a few questions based on the story I told you. We are doing this on verbal ground. That is oral comprehension. But of more importance is documented comprehension. If you like, written comprehension. This is of more importance to us as certificate class candidates, because this is what we oftentimes come across under examination conditions. A documented passage can take any form. It can be a piece of narrative. It can be an exposure of a process, maybe how to do something. Take, for example, a process of mending a punctured tire. It can also be a piece of argument, or otherwise, it can also be a descriptive write-up. Whichever form a comprehension passage takes, what is expected and needful of a student is that he should perfectly understand or comprehend the passage so as to be able to answer questions that will follow. To be able to do this, a few things are required of you, the candidate. It is expected that the atmosphere in which you are studying a passage is quite conducive for examination conditions. Thank God that school authorities and examination bodies have taken absolute control of that aspect. That is why oftentimes when we are in examination halls, we discover that that environment is cordoned off so that there won't be any loitering, so there won't be any distraction. So the only thing that could possibly distract a candidate and make him or her miss the point in the passage before you is your personal mindset. You must be focused. You must not give room to any diversions. That is not the proper time for you to recall incidences that occurred before you came to the examination hall, because they will interfere with your stream of understanding. Neither is it a right time for you to begin to imagine what you are going to do by the time you exit the hall. As it were, lock off entirely, lock out the whole world from you, and be open only to the passage before you. And that's when you'll be able to get the totality of the message that is inside the passage that you are having to read. Now, as you concentrate, as you focus, definitely you are not likely to make any mistakes. Let me add that for every given passage, most times you have titles or headings for the passage you want to read. So, to be able to properly grasp the story in the comprehension passage, you look at the title and kind of imbibe it. Put it at the back of your mind as you are running through the passage. The title or heading is already like a compass that's going to show you the way through the passage. The title gives you an idea of what you are going to come across in the passage. So, as the passage unfolds, you discover that what you are simply having is addition to the title of the passage. That is not to say that there are no instances when comprehension passages are put before us without title or heading. Let that not be a problem. We have an alternative key to be able to unlock what the passage is likely to talk about. There is what we call the opening sentence. The opening sentence in every write-up, not just a comprehension passage, the opening sentence hints at what the whole essence of the write-up is going to be. So if you look at your opening sentence, capture it, have it at the back of your mind as you flow through the entire passage. Then, of course, you are not likely to be misled. When you go through a passage very sincerely, you are going to know whether you have actually decoded the passage or not, whether you have actually comprehended it or not. One test case is that you feel a sense of psychological attachment or impact to what you have just read. I'll give you an example. If you read a passage where perhaps the character, the main character, is a villain, you know, what you young ones call bad guy, and you find him misbehaving, undoing people, plotting against them and all that. At the end of the story, if anything evil befalls him, you find yourself saying, sounding right, sounding right. You are talking to yourself. That is because you have perfectly understood and enjoyed the passage. At other times, you can have a passage that at the end of your reading, you find yourself just smiling to yourself. You are excited because the passage is of such form, because of what played out in the process. When you have, or when you experience these psychological attachments, then of course there are proofs that you have actually captured the essence of the passage. By the time you are done with reading the passage, then of course you can begin to answer the questions. But before we come to answering questions, let me also draw our attention to the fact that there is a specified kind of comprehension which in those days we used to refer to as lexis and structure. It is a storyline. It can be discussing a particular field of endeavor, maybe agriculture, maybe biology, maybe whichever. And in the process, there will be some ellipse, some words will be ellipted, will be removed. He said he was going to dash, but at the end, he, and so on and so on. And you'll be given alternatives to fill those empty gaps. That is also a type of comprehension. But for our certificate class, what is commonplace is this one that we read through and through, and we are expected to answer the questions below. But I just said that, by the way, so that if we run into such situations, it will, after all, not be a strange thing to us. Now, back to answering comprehension questions after we have completed reading the passage. It is advisable that we have time enough to go through our comprehension passages twice. The first attempt is when we are actually duly studying the passage. Before we set on the journey, we'll ask ourselves, what is this passage trying to tell me? So as you have asked yourself that question, you pay particular attention to every explanation, to every action, to every response, to every direction, so that at the end of it, you find that you have actually fully comprehended the passage. At the end of this, you can now go and look at your questions. You just grab through your questions, and then as you are looking through your questions, if you have actually read or studied your passage carefully, you will discover that some answers to the questions you just looked at will begin to occur to you, and you pencil them down as the case may be. But if in the advent that as you look at the question, you remember, yes, I can remember I stumbled over this idea, but I can't know now exactly where it is in the passage. This is when we go back a second time. But this time around, we are no longer studying because we have already studied. We are as it were, glancing through now to be able to pin down aspects that are answers to the questions that we have studied. As you do this, certainly you will stumble over aspects of the passage that are answers to the questions that you just looked at. At this point, don't look at the answer to one question and go and start to write. Before you are done with that, you will forget the others. As you are going through, just indent the areas you discover are answers to the questions that you have just perused. By indenting, I mean mark them out. You can underline that area of the passage. You can put an X. You can put a caret. Whatever it is that will draw your attention to that area when you are done. Just do that and look for all other aspects that are answers to questions that we have below. It's by the time you are done marking out all your likely answer areas that you now begin to pick them one after the other and put them down as your answers. Now, I need to draw our attention to the fact that in school certificate examinations, there are two papers that have similarity: comprehension and summary. We have passages to read in both, and we have questions to answer at the end of both. But there is a difference, particularly in the mode of answering our questions. In comprehension, you can lift up the passage, the part of the expressions that is answer to your question, just the way they are. Pick the sentences word for word and put them down like that. You have not committed any offense. That is the aspect that has answered the question. And you discover too that the aspects that are answers to your question may even be one word. It may be a phrase. It may even be a clause. Put it down the way it is. That is what is the answer to the question. You have got it right. But you can't do that if it were summary. Because you will be expected, even if one word is the answer to the question, you will be expected to express that word in your own sentence, not even the way you have it in the passage. That's talking about summary, which I hope we are going to have time to come across as we get along. Now, let us also look at the fact that there are modes of questions that we have in comprehension. Comprehension, there are aspects that deal with singular words. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Take, for example, that you have read a passage, and in that passage, you have a sentence such as this. We know what is in vogue now, though negatively, the coronavirus pandemic. Assuming that the passage that we have just gone through has to do with that. And in the process, or within the context of the write-up, we had this sentence. The young medical doctor who operated on the lady has contracted a virus. And at the end of all the passage, including this sentence, you have this word underlined. And the questions usually will be, give another word that means the same as the underlined words and can adequately replace them in the sentence where they occur. So, this is where we are dealing with words. Like I said, that we have two forms of questions when we are answering comprehension questions. Here, we are expected to have idea or knowledge of as many words as possible. This aspect of English, by the way, is called vocabulary. Vocabulary. So it is advised that as a senior school certificate class candidate, you ought to have a jotter or a notebook where you put down every new word you just discovered, and then you look for their meanings and begin to use them in your everyday expression. I always advise my students to be voracious readers. Read whatsoever comes your way. It can be your subject that you offer. It can be a subject that you don't even offer, you don't even like it. It can be a newspaper, it can be a magazine. As long as it is written in English language, you sure have something to benefit from it. So, as you read, you definitely will discover some words that seem new or strange to you because you have never come across them before. Underline them. If you are enjoying the flow of your reading, complete your reading, then take up those words. Go and consult your dictionary. Get their meanings and put both words and their meanings in your jotter. And as much as possible, in your everyday dialogue, conversation, discussion with friends, relatives, and so on, try to begin to apply these words so that by and by it becomes part and parcel of you. That is what we call vocabulary development. You are developing yourself in terms of the number of words that you have. This is essential because you don't know what field of endeavor the examination body is going to pick their passage from. There might just be a coincidence that the write-up you read yesterday is from the same area that they just brought their comprehension passage. So you find that it will be a simple walkover for you. So, like I said, you need to be a voracious reader to be able to develop yourself in terms of vocabulary development. In addition to reading whatsoever come your way, I strongly also recommend that you listen to presentations on radio and television. Maybe during newscasts, maybe during discussions. Apart from enjoying the subject of discourse, you definitely discover one, two, or more words that you never have come across before. As you are listening to them, being a good student that I expect you to be, you quickly pencil down what you have heard and let the discussion or the news the over. Then refer to your dictionary so you can get the meaning of the word. So you discover that for the purpose of becoming who we of necessity need to be in English language, we don't put all our eggs in one basket. By that I mean, you don't totally depend on your class teacher. You must, on your own, be a hard worker. You must exploit all the avenues and opportunities available to you. It is the totality of all this that will make sure that you arrive at your El Dorado. Moving forward, even still on vocabulary development, it is advisable that as you look at the meanings of these words, check out their synonyms and their antonyms. In other words, check out words that have the same meanings with these words you just discovered, and what are the opposite words to this same word. So you discover that by one word that you just heard spoken by somebody, you have done 3 discoveries, and that will be good for you at the end of the day. Done with word element of vocabulary development. The other aspect of comprehension exercise, especially under examination condition, is the aspect that deals with structure. As I was beginning this lesson, I did tell you that we have 4 major divisions of English, but they are merely splits of convenience, because at the end of the day, they all roll up into one. Structure, by the way, will be taking us the way of grammar, but we are discussing comprehension. That is why the English language expects you to be a master of plenty things, or if you like, jack of plenty things, but master of few. So you must have idea of several things. If the passage is on medicine, you are not thrown off balance. If it's discussing agriculture, you are up to date. If it's talking about mechanics, you are not an ignorant person there. That is what is expected of you. Now, back to structure. Talking about structure, we have 3 major divisions of English structure. 3 major divisions. They include a phrase, a clause, and a sentence. It is a combination of these trio that make up clauses in English language. So, in comprehension passages, apart from testing your ability to sieve out which portion of the passage is a direct answer to the questions you have gotten, the same, by talking of the same passage, your knowledge of structure is also tested. That is why in comprehension passages, apart from just singular words that may be underlined and you are asked to give their meanings as the case may be, you also have some group of words underlined. And the question always will be, what grammatical name will you give to the underlying group of words. So you discover that whereas you are discussing comprehension, you are taking into grammar. They want to know if you are versed in the area of grammar. So let us look at, as an example, what we already have on the board. Unfortunately, because we are discussing comprehension, which is supposed to be a very long passage, it is not feasible for us to bring a passage here, read, and draw your attention to all these things. But I expect that as senior school candidates that you are, that is our target audience, you already are aware of these things that we are talking about. So we'll just look at a few examples and expect that you are sailing along. Now, we have this sentence. Assuming that I underlined this, the young doctor, and you are asked what grammatical name is the underlying group of words. Then you must begin here to display your knowledge of clauses. The young doctor. We can even begin to add several other things to this to make it long. The young, light complexioned medical doctor, if you like. That makes it long. But long as it may appear, this group of words is not a sentence. It is a phrase. Reason being that it does not contain an operational verb. We are told that verbs are action words, and sentences are groups of words that convey a message. And a message is not a message until it is delivering or it has an operational verb. It is telling you what somebody is doing, hope to do, or has done. That's only when it is a sentence. So what we have here is a phrase. The young doctor. And like I said, if you like, add the young, fair complexioned medical doctor. If you simply put phrase as your answer, God help you if the examiner that is looking at your write-up, maybe you woke up from the right side of the bed that morning, may give you half mark. Otherwise, he can score you wrong, because there is types of phrases. That takes me into types of phrases. We have noun phrases, we have adjectival phrases, and we have adverbial phrases. Mind you, what determines what kind of phrase we are dealing with is what job it is accomplishing. What job is it doing in the passage where it occurred? Now, let's go back to the sentence that we have on the board. The young doctor. the young doctor who operated on the lady has contacted a virus. The question that will assist you in getting the answer to the question, what group of words, or what grammatical name is given to this group of words, is you ask yourself, what is this sentence talking about? The sentence is talking about something. And right here, the sentence is talking about an individual, that something has happened to a person. Somebody has contacted a virus. Whoever that person is the major thing that that sentence is talking about. The sentence is reporting an incident that has happened. Incidences don't happen in vacuum. They happen to persons, they happen to places, and so on and so forth. But in whichever way, incidences happen to noun elements. Because we have said in a common definition of noun that nouns are names of any persons, places, or things. So here we have a group of words that is talking about an individual, even though his name is not mentioned, but we have identified him here by his profession, the doctor. So this group of words is a noun phrase because the major word, which in grammar we call the head word, the head word of that group of words is a noun, the young doctor. If you like, let me add the young medical doctor, or even going further still, the young fair complexion medical doctor. So we'll have 6 words in that structure, but of all the 6, only one is the head. The others are talking about that same one. If I had young, fair complexion, medical, before doctor, you will discover that every other word here are merely assisting the word doctor. Which doctor are we talking about? The young one. There might be several doctors there. Which young doctor? There might be more than 2, 3 young doctors. The fair complexioned one. And which kind of doctor? We are in academic world. We know there are persons who are academic doctors. So, which kind of doctor are we talking about? Medical doctor. So you discover that those other words there are merely descriptive elements. And they are all talking of one single word, doctor. So in the whole of that group, the only thing that matters is the doctor. The doctor. You can remove all those other ones and we will still make sense. We will still be talking about somebody. That is why we arrived at the conclusion that this is a noun clause because the head word in that group of words is a noun. Now, I did say that we have phrases, we have clauses, we have sentences. It is my expectation that in subsequent meetings, we'll be able to dwell in depth with these aspects because they are actually vast. on why. But we are just taking few instances of them because you will find them in comprehension passages. So let us leave other types of phrases for now and just talk a little bit of clause. Don't forget that we did say that a noun phrase is a group of words that has a noun element as its head word. But conversely, and of course, added to that, phrases don't make complete sense. Phrases are groups of words that by themselves don't make complete sense. Therefore, they cannot stand on their own. They require to rest on another group of words to be able to convey a message or make complete sense. That is why, if we look at the underlying part of that sentence in isolation, we will say it has not said anything. The young, fair-complexioned medical doctor. If I just came to you and say, that young, fair-complexioned medical doctor, you know now, that fair-complexioned, you will still be all ears. You are waiting. You want me to complete what I'm saying, and suddenly I just turn around and go. You are likely to say, I hope he's okay. What's wrong with this man? What has he said? He has not said anything. Because he just gave you a phrase, which on its own is nonsensical, has not said and cannot say anything complete. But the clause is a little bit different from the phrase. What makes a phrase incomplete is the fact that it does not contain a verbal element. Verbs are action words. Verbs are doing words. Verbs are the words that report actions, the doings, the excitement, the assignment that the sentence is carrying across. Without it, we succeed in saying nothing. But clause is a group of words that may have a verb, but yet cannot on their own make complete sense. Secondly, clauses can be defined as groups of words that have verbs but not finite verbs. They are what we call finite verbs. That is operational verbs. The actual verb that delivers the message in the passage. I'll quickly, as I wind up, give you an example of what I'm talking about. The young doctor who operated. The word operated is a verb because it conveys an action. What did the doctor do? He operated. That's a verb. But it is not the finite verb in this sentence. That is why if we add the young doctor who operated on the lady, we have still not made sense, even though we have a verb. Because we have not gotten a finite verb. It is until we get to the finite verb, which is has contacted, that the group of words now delivers a message. That is when we now have a sentence. But in the absence of that, every other thing, though contains a verb, is only a clause. That's how far we can go today. We look forward to when we meet the subsequent occasions. Thank you for listening.